Hello, today I will be doing a unboxing and review of the B Castle unassembled 10 frame medium super with frames. Currently the price for this item on Amazon is $54.95 without shipping. If you like free stuff, watch this video, count the number of times I say wax, and comment that number below. The first person that gets that number correct, I'm going to give them a little gift. Also, hang around to the end because you're going to want to watch the blooper reel that I have at the end. Pretty funny. The bees weren't real pleased with me that day. Now, you probably see bee castle hives all over the place. They're one of the most affordable beehives out on the market. That's why I ordered it, just to not only save money, but I wanted to see whether it's worth the value or if you get what you pay for. So I ordered this off Amazon the other day. It came in and I figured I'd do a review for you. So what do you get inside the box? Well, first off, you get this little bee castle booklet, the United States Trustworthy Brand. In the instruction booklet, it tells you what all you've got in the box so that you can verify the content. It gives you very basic instructions on how to assemble not only the box but also the frames. It tells you where to apply glue and where to apply nails, and then it provides you a little bit of a mini catalog. So let's see what you get in the box. First thing that I like is that they provide you with all the fasteners you need for this assembly. They send you screws for the Honey Super and nails for the frames. I use a nail gun for my frames, but it is nice that they do provide frames in case you don't have a nail gun or a staple gun. They provide you 10 frames worth of groove bottom bar, 10 frames worth of sidebars, so 20 sidebars. They also provide you 10 class foundations, yellow in color. You didn't get to choose between black or yellow for Honey Supers. They just automatically send you yellow. From feeling the foundation, it does feel like it's pretty well coated in wax. Just rubbing your fingers over it and then you rub your fingers, feel quite a good layer of wax. So these would probably be good enough to just put in a box. I always put extra wax on my frames because it just helps the bees really draw the frames out faster, in my opinion. And then they provide you the woodenware with this pretty nice, look like it lasered in Bee Castle logo. They provide you all the woodenware. So the first thing I always do whenever I get anything from Amazon, especially woodenware for beekeeping, is I always inspect everything. Amazon has a 30-day claim period, or at least for Prime members. I'm not sure if it's only for Prime, but you have 30 days basically to make a claim. So I like to look over all my woodenware because a lot of times you do get damaged items just because the shipping carrier is a little rough with heavy boxes. Just looking at the woodenware for obvious damage, I see none. I see nice heavy wax, a nice coating of wax on all the wood, and I don't see any damage. One thing you'll notice is Bee Castle uses dovetail joint, which is a very good joint. It not only makes a tight fit, but it's somewhat self-squaring. It also helps prevent twisting and pulling apart, and in general, a dovetail joint is considered a higher quality joint than a typical rabbit or finger joints that you get on most beekeeping equipment. So I'm pleased with the joint. Also, if you notice, the holes are already pre-drilled and pre-sunk for the provided screws, which is nice because that allows you to get the screw flush without having to possibly screw too far into the wood and compromising one of these dovetails by splitting it. If you look at the woodenware, while there are some knots, they are pretty small knots and they're all tight knots, and I do not see any knots on the joints, which is kind of important. However, I will bring notice, you see right here, it looks like this is actually two pieces of wood joined together. That's kind of interesting. You see the knot, it's cut off, and you can see a line going across here. I don't know if that'll play into durability years down the road from now. I'm actually going to be using these medium boxes as both Honey Supers and my hive bodies. I chose to go with medium because they're lighter, because I actually have 2 broken vertebrae in my back, so I have to make sure that I'm not lifting any heavier objects than I absolutely need to. I also am converting over to 8 frame versus 10 frame. This is 10 frame because I do have some 10 frame setups, but I'm converting everything over to 8 frame because that reduces the weight by 20%. And that's one of the things that I am trying to do with this channel, is introduce ways that beekeeper with a disability such as myself can continue beekeeping by rethinking how they beekeep. For example, by going from deeps to mediums, from 10 frames to 8 frames. Initially, I thought I was going to actually have to give up beekeeping because of my back injury, but through learning some tips and tricks, I actually figured out a way to beekeep without aggravating my back injury. And if you're interested in beekeeping tips and tricks, I actually published a book that summarizes a lot of the ways that I use different hacks in order to make beekeeping more accessible for everyone, especially people with disabilities. I published that book and it's free, absolutely free for everyone, and I will have a link to it in the description of this video. So if you would just look down there, and I hope it actually helps you, even if you don't have a disability, for people that like to make beekeeping a little easier, because no matter what, beekeeping is tough on the back. They actually have a saying that a beekeeper is just a bad back waiting to happen. So you might as well head it off, get my book, learn ways to avoid blowing your back out. Then that way you don't end up like me. The next thing we need to look at is wood quality. So wood quality, Bee Castle actually uses pine, which is pretty standard. Feels pretty light. And like I said, all the knots are small and tight, and there are no knots that seem like it would compromise one of the dovetail joints. Fastener types, again, they send you screws that will go in the pre-drilled holes, which helps prevent splitting. And it also brings the box together nice and tight. And they provide the nails for the frames. In the instructions, they also say you should use wood glue, which I agree. You should use Titebond 3 and either nail them or use a staple gun, because you don't want your frames blown apart. Frames get pried on, they have a lot of weight, they get put in honey slingers. There's a lot of wear and tear, so if you're going to spend a little extra time, make sure you spend it on constructing your frames good and solid. So the next thing we want to look at is the finish of the wood. So the finish of the wood, according to Bee Castle, they hot dip all their woodenware in 100% beeswax. You feel a good amount of wax. It looks pretty evenly coated. I've seen other wax dip boxes from other companies, and it seems like there might be a lot on one area and not so much on the other. These all look pretty evenly coated, but because they're wax dipped, you're going to need to make sure that you have some sort of like rubber mallet when you're assembling these, because the dovetail joints are already tight enough and they pretty much self-square this box. I would still use a square to make sure you're putting it together as square as possible, but they pretty much self-squaring. But putting these together without some sort of rubber mallet is pretty tough, because there's wax buildup in these joints, and so when they come together, that wax can actually get away. But a few good wax with a rubber mallet will snug those joints right up without you having to cut away wax or anything like that. Durability and longevity. This is my first set of Bee Castle hives. I don't have any in my yard, so I don't have years of experience with one being out in the exposed to the elements. However, I do plan on doing follow-up videos, so stay tuned for that in 2 years. Wax supposedly holds up well to the weather. Whenever they dip these in wax, they put the woodenware into a very hot mixture of wax, and that wax, because it's hot, heats the wood up and impregnates this wood with wax. And also, while it impregnates the wood with wax, that wax and the heat is actually displacing any leftover water moisture that might be in the board. So you're kind of accomplishing two things. You're getting rid of water, which can cause warping and twisting and rot, and you're replacing that with wax, which helps weatherize it. Another good thing about wax dipped hives is it covers all surfaces, including the joints, the interior, and the exterior. And the good thing about covering the joints is the end grain here of any box is your most vulnerable to rot. If you get unwaxed, unpainted hive body, one of the things that you really need to pay attention to is you want to make sure you put a lot of paint on this end grain, because the end grain actually absorbs it. It sucks in like a sponge any paint or wax. So a lot of times whenever you paint these, one, you're only painting the exterior, so the inside is actually left for the bees to weatherize with propolis. But if you don't paint those end grain, you're going to get rot right there. And you'll see whenever you paint it, you'll put a good thick coat on it, and in a minute that paint will be just sucked into the wood. The sides doesn't absorb as much exterior paint, but those end bars really take in the paint. And because they also take in the paint, that means they'll take in other moisture, such as rain, which can end up causing rot. So paint your end bar. One of the major cons of, or downsides of, wax boxes is this wax will eventually wear away. How quickly? It just depends on the quality of the wax, how much is on it. The people that don't like wax boxes don't like wax boxes because once the wax wears off, not only is it now exposed to the weather, but you can't just paint over a wax box. The paint won't stick. So you're either forced into a situation where you have to take it someplace to get it re-dipped or try and cover it yourself with wax, or you end up having to use something different other than exterior paint. You have to use like linseed oil or some other weatherproofing mixture. Cost. So as I said, on Amazon currently you can order this for $54.95, I believe it is. That comes unassembled 10 frame with everything you see here and everything you need for a 10 frame Honey Super, which is about $20 or so less than any other place I've seen ordering it in the same status, unassembled. So it's a pretty good value. I did research on Bee Castle hives and they have good reviews on Amazon, so I figure why not try it out, save a little bit of money, and see how long they last in my yard. This is the Honey Super after it's been assembled. Nice looking box. And putting it together, like I said, the dovetail joints themselves seem to self-square this box. I put a square on it, pretty much perfectly square, without having to maneuver anything or use any sort of clamps. So far, I'm pretty pleased with what I got, and at a very good price point also. So if videos like this help you make informed choices about what products you might or might not want to buy and put in your own bee yard, I'd appreciate it if you help me out by giving this video a like, hitting the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. This will help me continue to produce quality content for viewers such as yourself in the future. If you would, I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you. One of my bees doing a flyby there. But I always, sorry. One of my guard bees really let me know they don't want me doing this video today. But anyway, hey Google, what type of wood Bee Castle beehives use? Is it fir? Pine? Okay. Sorry, one of my girls is checking me out. If you like videos like this, then you'll probably also like another video that I did a review of a similar product of Galena Farms Hoover Hive product that you might want to check out, along with my product review channel that I actually have, where it covers not only this and the Hoover Hive product, but it also covers many other beekeeping related products that you might be interested in.